To the Steve Setka Show, your uncensored champion. I'm your host, Steve Setka, and I'm diving deep into the things that matter most to me: sport, freight, and faith. On the show, we're not afraid to go beyond the surface. We get real, share bold opinions, and hit you where it may be uncomfortable. These are the topics I'm passionate about, and I bet they'll spark something in you too. So buckle up for quick, high-impact episodes that'll shake you up.
A show with your fearless leader, Steve Setka. We have a special guest on the show today. Very, very exciting. But before I get into who we have on the show, as per usual, we talk about the Bible verse. We frame each episode with a verse. And we got James 1:2-4 today, which reads as, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." With that being said, we have the first overseas guest outside of North America, all the way from Australia, 7 a.m. on the east coast of Australia. Nick Pratt, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me, bro.
It's fantastic, connecting over the internet, online, all these different types of things these days, because you can have a global reach. And this is exactly what I feel like you've done. I've been following you on Instagram, Facebook, all your messages that you leave about spirituality, about the earth, ever since we first met 9 years ago, which we'll get into in a little bit. But tell us a little bit about your journey through, the last few years and, building eco villages, living on the land, living back and forth in Brisbane, Sydney, et cetera, wherever you've been. Just give us a journey of your life recently.
Well, man, let's go back 9 years. So back 9 years ago, on the farm, believe it or not, that's when I stopped chefing. I was a chef for a long time. A lot of substance abuse, a lot of alcohol, a lot of really kind of not kind people and not exactly characters you wanted to be around a lot. Awesome, fun times, but coming to the realization of that wasn't for me, and also wanting to understand where my food came from. The food that I was cooking, where did it come from? I quit that and I started working at the strawberry farm, and that's where I met you. In that, my addictions were still there. I was still very much hooked on various substances and stuff. Going into that with a kind of pseudo-spiritual point of view in a way. I went through a lot of suffering, the loss of my father, stuff like that at a pretty early age. And to me, these substances were always tools to learn. However, it's a slippery slope of how much you can learn and then how much you're actually dependent on something external to yourself to learn. So back then, I kind of went through that moment. I hit rock bottom, man. I hit really bad addiction and ended up in the Amazon rainforest. I stayed with the shaman, stayed there and sat plant medicine and ayahuasca for 4 weeks, every second day, just on the medicine. I came back home. I lived in a van up in far north Queensland, showered in waterfalls, cooked in fires, etc. Just really connected back to the simple way of living for myself. From there, kept farm work, bananas, various fruit places, and then went back overseas to South America. I studied Kambo with the Martzes, stayed in their village, studied that plant medicine, and then also went back and stayed with various shamans and did about 2 or 3 months of just solid ayahuasca work. After that, I came back to Australia, and within 2 days of being in Australia, I had a house and a job in Byron Bay. So I returned to cooking again, just to kind of, pay bills and get myself back up on my feet. I had a bunch of various different jobs, from cooking pizzas for a while in a restaurant to then all of a sudden making fine quality arse and medicinal chocolates for a company, to which led me to making sauerkraut, because fermentation and health foods have always been in a massive
For the gut, right? For the gut.
Yeah, that's it. I love it. I love that stuff. I was born in Polish heritage, so sauerkraut was always on a table. So then went into fermentation, and to that, once I was in fermentation, everyone was trying to push me in, hey, you need to meet this woman. This woman's upstairs of this place. She just got back from South America. You guys will get along. And, me at the time was just oh, don't try and pigeonhole me. Some beautiful, alternative hippie woman. You don't know who I am, And then one day I walk outside, and there, lo and behold, is this incredibly beautiful woman who just stinks of coming back from living in Costa Rica. So yeah, we got to kind of dating, and within about 4 weeks, she's living with me. It was beautiful. Things went really quick. And 11 months into our relationship, we decided to have a child. And in that, man, like that was the meaning. Like that was something that even 9 years ago, in my deepest, darkest addictions, in everything, something that like was so alive for me was fatherhood. Something that I always knew I wanted to be doing and always knew drew me so much is I wanted to be the father. And not just that, like even then I said I always wanted to be the father of a little girl. And boom, we had a girl. Like we never guessed the sex. We never went down that route. And, you know, supporting a woman through the birthing process, through all of those things, it's absolutely amazing. So basically, after that fermentation, that's when I made the big switch. Like I studied permaculture. I started to get involved in things like agroforestry, syntropic farming, like food forestry and things like that. Just kind of put my life on this different direction. You know, I went and started working in macadamia farms, stuff like that. Got really quite frustrated at like a monoculture way of farming that was this kind of honestly poisoning the earth. It's like, it's heavy input, heavy poisons, heavy things I didn't see fit in the value of actually restoring and repairing a landscape. So I left that behind and just started doing my own thing with private clients and a few different mentors that I, you know, met along the way, just working in different ecological things like chemical-free bush regeneration, permaculture designs, agroforestry and stuff. And yeah, like had the birth of my daughter, went back to working on the land in like a really, really beautiful way, like a harmonious way where I could feel my connection with nature wasn't just like humans raping and pillaging, taking the land for our own benefits. And that led me to, yeah, like kind of where I am today. We're part of an eco village that has been building and developing over the last, I'd say 3 years. We've been a part of it for the last 2.5. We were, you know, some of the first people to really become a part of it. So it's a young project still, but like there's been so much groundwork put in. Played various roles through that, like from sitting on the board through being chairperson for 6 months of it, which was like, I never in a million years thought that I would be a chairperson of a board of directors for like a 60 share eco village. So after that role, it really very much taught me that like I wasn't just some like barefoot hippie or some plant medicine guy. It was like actually, here I am talking to lawyers and here I am governing decisions and making decision-making process and studying nonviolent communication and showing all like, it forced me to show up and show all these elements to myself that I never even knew that were there or I could have. So that's very much where I am now. Yeah. And
Nick,
then also,
I love where you're getting at here. I want to jump into that a little bit more for sure. And I could listen to you talk all day. It's amazing. It's too bad we only scheduled half an hour in, but there's so many complexities here that are in line with my life. And I believe, just like we talked, connected for a purposeful reason here. I don't really believe in coincidences. I believe God puts each other in front of others exactly when they need it. And I think you and I needed to get together right now. And we've gotten back in touch through Facebook Messenger, you in Australia, me in Canada recently for a reason over the last, couple months, 3, 4, 5 months, whatever. I'm jumping back on Facebook here a little bit more. I see your messages. They're fantastic. They're so interesting. But before I get into that, I want to pick up on a couple of things you mentioned, okay? You said something that my wife says to me all the time. You can't look for something outside of yourself externally to make yourself happy, right? You have to look within and understand that, look, the child or the house or the property or the next trip is not what's necessarily going to make myself happy. I got to go deeper and do inner work. And Casey says that to me all the time, which is the first thing that you said that was amazing and beautiful that I picked up on. The next thing, you hit rock bottom, Nick. And I love to hear that story because somebody said to me the other day, they said, Steve, do you know who lives at the bottom of the barrel? God. God lives at the bottom of the barrel. How would you ever know him if you never got there, right? So your spirit is waiting for you to get to a point where you need him. And then that's exactly when you jump into that relationship, which is something you and I have talked about, right? Whether you're a religious guy or a faithful guy or a spiritual guy, he's a creator of all things, which is really beautiful, which comes back to the verse we're talking about in James today. Quickly, Amazon rainforest, my wife, Casey Bennell, now Casey Setka, we've been married for a year, is a Campbell practitioner. She's into this stuff. She does ayahuasca. Currently not right now, but she's pregnant. She's 3 months away from being due. We have a baby on the way, which is fantastic. And you're doing, similar types of things out there, which is amazing. So like, can you believe this, Nick? Amazon rainforest, you're a father now. You didn't find out the sex of your baby. Neither are we. We have somewhat of a natural childbirth coming up with the birth center in Winnipeg in Canada. And you and I got back together after 9 years when you were a different person and I was a different person back then as well too. It's crazy. Like, what's your thoughts around like all these relationships that we share that we had no idea a world apart?
Man, honestly, like I wouldn't put myself as being a religious man, like you said. I'm more a man of like faith and spirituality. However, that to me right there, that's God. Like that is the divine, that is the universe, like kind of whatever you want to call it, whatever tagline, whatever your belief, but all things constantly happen for a reason. And like everything is just always happening within your favor. So like the certain connections that you met, like I've met people I've completely fallen out of. I've met people like I've fallen out of, and then they start talking to you again, almost as if they see something in you, but like you don't quite connect because it's not quite on that same level. Like they see you shining or they see you doing something, but like they're not quite there doing it themselves. It's more of like this encouragement or this like grab at that. Whereas this connection with you, it's just come up. There's so much synchronicity of where we are, what we're doing, what's going on in life. Like even the similarities between myself and your partner, and just like that archetype of like that connection that you needed, that you found in her, but then those aspects of her that are almost in me. So
Crazy.
it's phenomenal. Yeah.
She feels the same way about these relationships we have in terms of intentionality and purpose, because we've known each other, my wife and I, for 2 years, and we've been married for a year, and we have a baby on the way. And, we talked about experiences so she's from BC, British Columbia, Western Canada, moved to Western Manitoba, where Winnipeg is, about 2 hours west of where I'm from in Winnipeg, probably 10, 12 years ago to go to high school. And we had all these shared experiences in BC that we didn't know each other prior to meeting. And we had shared experiences in terms of the sports we like. She's a volleyball player. She played volleyball growing up. I was connected in the scene where she played in our city that we live in. All these different, connections that we had prior to actually specifically meeting. So the fact that you and I, worked together for every day for 3 months, grinding on the farm, picking strawberries, and you got into the eco village, you got into the spiritual life, you got into the world of, nature and outdoor living. Was no joke that we're in connection now based on the fact that, you met your partner in a similar type of way. I met my partner, my wife, in that way, which is crazy. Bringing it back all the way to 9 years ago. You remember when we picked strawberries, I bought your car.
Yep.
Well, too, I bought the car. First time I'd ever driven left wheel drive, because it's right wheel, obviously, over here. So another crazy thing that happened. And then we get into a relationship with each other. And then I thought, Nick, another interesting thing about you when I watch your videos is I understand your spirituality, the way you think. So I thought, how can I reflect that within this podcast episode? Okay. I have a cup here of tea. It has raspberry leaves and nettle, which is my wife's pregnancy tea, which I'm sure you probably know a little bit about, because you triggered me to have a tea because you said you were making a tea before you're coming on the show. It's also an Austin, Texas mug, which their slogan is "Keep Austin Weird." I'm wearing a Colorado State emblem hat, which is like the capital in the United States of spirituality and freedom and beautiful energy. And then a shirt that a friend of mine from Lagos, Nigeria brought back for me, that we work together in logistics and transport in the businesses that we run. So all these different things that come together have created this beautiful moment right now, right here, that's present at 7 a.m. in Australia and 4 p.m. on Friday at the end of the day in Canada. And it's been such a wonderful, beautiful day. Tell me about how this starts your day, what you're going to do for the rest of the day, and how you lead such an intentional life with so much beauty and purpose.
Man, to touch on that last bit first, like how I live such an intentional day with purpose is like, well, that's what I'm here for. Like I have a beautiful family. I have a beautiful daughter. Like I literally have purpose and meaning. And that purpose, that meaning, that faith, that drive, like intentionally or unintentionally, that calls me to step into just living with that. Like normally I wake up, like I've gone through many different phases, but like I wake up, I journal, I move my body, I hydrate, I have some type of like salt or something to remineralize my body to like, nurture myself and make myself feel really good. Breaths, meditation, just a simple practice, like practice very much brings that about. And for today, like, waking up, it's Saturday morning here. I know I have a podcast. So yeah, like woke up, journal, just allowed myself to slowly wake up. Like don't interrupt brainwaves with jumping on like Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. Just like allow my body to have a natural rhythm. Today was especially beautiful as well. Like I woke up, we there's an echidna that's been hanging around our house. So there's like all these holes that are dug out, like walking from my house to my car to drive out to where there's Wi-Fi because we don't get Wi-Fi where we live. I see wallabies. I see like it's winter here. So like we see like the dew all over the ground, just like the natural beauty in everything. And from this, like my partner's, she's a masseuse. She's out doing body treatments and stuff. So she is actually off to work today as she's working at a retreat. So I'm with my daughter all day today. So from here, it's just going to be like beautiful play, beautiful child-led learning, straight from the beauty of like finding myself in the morning and allowing myself space to wake up and do what I need to do. It's going to be straight into putting that hat on, playing that role of like father and allowing my daughter to kind of like lead this day through the boundaries that I set, but allowing us to just like expand and create and really enjoy each moment of life in that childlike sense.
Incredible. It's so wonderful talking to people that live like this. I have people in the community that I associate with here in my city that are exactly like you. Like they live in the moment, right? Casey challenges me all the time. She's like, how present are you, right? In this moment with me right now. And that's something that's difficult for me. I mean, even I'm not a whole lot different in terms of my, mannerisms and how extroverted I am from when I was 9 years ago. Back when we were doing our work together, I still have a lot of energy. I'm still very excited. I still move very quickly. And you said something super intentional to me on your message. Before we jumped on, I said, hey, no rush, jump on when you can. I'm finishing my work day. And you're like, no, I'm not in a rush at all. And I'm like, that's incredible. I try to live by this mantra that like slow down is to speed up. So when you're living intentionally and beautifully and you go at a nice pace, you're actually going quicker without rushing through anything, which creates more intention, which creates more success. In 2 years, Nick, my wife and I, we've hacked away a whole bunch of debt. We bought a beautiful house here. We have a baby on the way. We got married last year in a wonderful national park in our province. And, we're just grinding and not grinding. We'll get to that in a minute, but we're doing the right thing. We're doing, not the grind culture, but we're grinding in the way that's beautiful and loving to get to that next phase. And we've created that beautiful yin and yang with each other so that we can live the life that we want to live. And that sounds exactly like what you're doing. And, he's guiding us, he's leading us to this beautiful space where we can spend time together doing what we want to do, when we want to do it, with what we want to do it with. And, a part of that is money, a part of that is time, a part of that is love and beauty and family, but it's just keeping those priorities intact. I wrote something on my wall. It said, hey, here's my priorities for life. Build my faith, build my spouse, build my family, and then build my business. And everything from the bottom builds up in order to create those levels of life that I want to enjoy and whatnot, which is great. I know you love these types of things. And I want to jump into something a little different here. Forest medicine, you're into that. My wife was just at a forest medicine retreat in between Lake Manitoba, Lake Winnipeg in Manitoba, called the Interlake last week. So she was doing stuff like this intentionally, and I went down there to drop her off and pick her up. I couldn't believe how slowly and beautifully and intentionally these people live on the land, doing plant walks, doing retreat activities, living in biodomes for the weekend, and just enjoying what nature has to offer us. And that's exactly what you are doing on these videos, right? Teaching us about how to live with each other, how to create beauty and wonder with our children, with our families, and all this. Tell us a little bit more briefly about your experience with the land, about the plants, with the animals, with the nature and the air that you breathe every single day.
Wow, man. Like, see, that's a deep question. So I studied nutrition for a while. I dropped out of that. My head was just wild back then, and went into naturopathy. I got frustrated because I'm like, everything you're teaching me, I could just learn myself. I could learn from the earth. Why do I need to pay you for a qualification so that the government
Yeah.
believes that that's what I can do? You know?
Formal education, right? Alternative. There's so many different ways to do it rather than go to quote unquote school. I hear you. Education is great, but you can get it from so many places that the earth offers.
Well, look, that I agree with that, but that's the only way to actually get recognized is like, well, here's a diploma that I've now put myself into debt for. So can you please come see me so I can charge you more money to pay back my school debt?
Yeah.
But look, man, like there's so many lessons to learn, like from the plants, from the animals, like from the plants. Yeah, there's the different active compounds, what they're good for. Like that brings me back to like the faith and the God of like, man, like everything you need is actually already on this earth for you. Like anything that a pharmaceutical company is selling you, anything that anyone wants to create is already here and has already been created. Everything that you're buying was once created from the earth. So it's almost creating this disconnect away from it. So there's like the plants, the herbs, the medicine from that, the ethnobotanics, the psychoactive, the ritualistic kind of herbs and medicines to take you on these spiritual journeys, like your peyote from the North Americans,
Yeah.
the South
The mushroom
American
trips.
kind of ayahuasca or chuma, the San Pedros. And there's all of these different modalities of that. And then there's like the archetypal, like the elements, the air, the water, the fire. You can basically learn from that or just watching how an animal moves and channeling the energy of that certain animal or the totem animal is like some kind of beliefs and cultures would say.
Incredible. You're spitting out all these words and these things, Cambo and DMT and Bufo and magic mushrooms and all these wonderful things that are new in my life now that, I know you participate in as well. And it's crazy, Dick. I grew up in a culture and a family, specifically love my family, wonderful people. Mom and dad are great, but this was all taboo, you know? And you look back at it and you're like the plants, like marijuana here, specifically in Canada, wonderful, wonderful. If you do it properly and you actively utilize it, in a way that's okay. Yes, it can do some harm to you for sure, but it's a plant. It's something from the earth to stop messing with it, right? These frogs with Cambo that you get the secretions. I got the buckets behind me that Casey does her sessions with in the house. It's crazy, man. I understand the world you're in, that people think we're nuts and crazy because we do it here, because it's not an overly spiritual city that we live in. But it's so wonderful learning from the earth, understanding that literally, like you said, everything that we need for health, for medicine, for treatment, love, for beauty, it all comes from the land. It all comes from the earth. It all comes from creation. It all comes from God. And we're so freaking blessed to have, that in our life. I want to give you a little hint, okay? A secret, something I got to tell you that I'm very open about talking about here, because you're in Australia. I'm in Canada. We live in countries that are kind of similar politically, okay? I'm going to go out and I'm going to be bold and uncensored here. My wife and I didn't take the COVID vaccine, okay? We're not into pharmaceuticals. We don't want more medicine to treat us. We have methods that we use in our life. And I met her after that whole charade and everything that happened. But it's crazy to think that it was like, oh, it's old news. It's in the past. Nobody cares anymore. Well, they did care for a long period of time. And it was crazy thinking about that. Did you guys go through the same type of thing?
Man, look, unfortunately, fortunately, where we live, like we live in a really special little hub. And like, yeah, the world went crazy. Like we have family members down in Melbourne and Brisbane and cities, like big cities. Things went mental. Where we live, like we live in this beautiful, like kind of like the hinterlands of a really well known area that's kind of a little bit alternative. So when those mandates did come in and like the whole wear a mask thing or like stay inside, it like it was there, like it was definitely there, but there was a lot of pushback from the community and the community
So
kind
did
of
we. So did we. We just did it in a city.
yeah. Yeah, totally. Like it was a massive pushback and it was almost like they couldn't enforce against that many people. Like it definitely caused this massive divide in humans, which is like absolutely crazy to see that people over political views or over consent with their own body, like people were losing friends or people were getting in arguments. But yeah, like it was there, but I honestly don't feel like it massively affected myself and my partner. Like we didn't take those things either. We were surrounded by a bunch of people who didn't as well. But then on the other hand, we were surrounded by family members and other people who were really heavy into the other side. So yeah, it was a super interesting time.
The crazy thing about that for sure is you're like now we look back at it and you're like, just a pinprick in society. It was significant for sure. And we had people in our groups and our associations that didn't as well. And we were surrounded by wonderful, loving people. I own a business in freight, as I've told you about in transportation, self-employed, work with the family. We didn't really have to follow a lot of the rules per se, but I understand why people did. Like you said, family members of mine and friends of mine were on either side of the aisle, right? We are in Canada and Australia, mostly left leaning countries, which is irrelevant to this conversation. And I've learned how to, mask that and put that to the side to focus on the love and the beauty of my life, not a left versus right thing, not a conservative versus liberal thing per se, however it works in Australia. I don't fully remember, but, or not like we're right or us versus the world mentality. Just look, there's messed up people on this side. There's messed up people on this side in every area of life. And we're just going to build the best life that we can with the king, with the kingdom, with Jesus Christ, with faith, with spirituality, with the land, with the earth. And it's crazy because I was longing for a partner and a beautiful, wonderful wife that I would eventually meet and have babies with and live the rest of my life for. And I would have never thought in a million years it would have come as a result of, what we went through in those 5 years, right? From 2020 to 2025, which is incredible. So, you know what? We're in the right place right now. I'm completely fasted from everything media in my life. I don't watch the news. I'm not into the social media about the politics. I don't pay attention. I hear about it because I'm in transport, right? With the Trump tariffs, all that stuff. I can't get away with it from it. But you know what? It polluted me for sure. And I wanted to touch on something else about this grind culture that you mentioned in a message that we connected on this morning here. You said, hey, look, I was in the grind culture. I was in the masculine significantly. I know you understand energetics, the difference between masculine energy, feminine energy. I've studied that quite a bit myself as well, too. Give us a hint and give us a perspective that you have on where you were in that not the current state, the state you were in, to the desired state that you're moving toward now with energetics.
Oh well, man. So the masculine, like the grind culture, like waking up and being like, great, ice bath, cold shower, journal, meditation, breath work, breakfast, like this whole kind of biohacking sentence is like if you don't do it, like you're not going to achieve. Like kind of like quantifying and like making sure everything's done and like pushing through it. And if you don't feel like doing it, don't worry. You just got to train yourself to do things. And like I did that for a while, man, and it actually took me going backwards. Like it's like everything we have and everything we want, it's already here. And it's becoming aligned with that person that already has those things and living like you already have those things. And those things kind of just appear, which is like that flow state, which is the feminine. The feminine, it just like it just comes to you. Like you just be you, you allow it to come. And that's very much where I'm at now of like I went through this massive stage of like whooping my ass, like, up 5 a.m. every day, doing this, doing that, working out, having an ice bath, having that. And then like trying to spend time and show up as a family man, trying to show up and fill my own cup and do all these other things. It's like the enjoyment just kind of got sucked completely out of life. And now I'm in a state of like actually enjoying it and allowing the things that I really love and that are meant for me to just show up in my life.
Incredible. I love that. You said fill your own cup, right? And you're trying to fill your cup and you're, trying to fill others' cups, but you probably had an empty cup at a period of time, but you're manipulated to think that, if I do the workout in the morning, if I get the meditation, the sound bath, every little thing happening, check it all off the boxes that you're going to get to where you want to go, which is crazy, right? I used to do all that as well, too. I was up in the morning. I had a list of 10 things to do before I went to bed. Boom, 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 boom. What I've been doing now, deletion, get rid of the vast majority of it, flow with what is intentional at the moment. I still work out. I still exercise. I eat well for the most part. Sometimes I just sleep a little bit better now because I'm not so crazy about checking everything off the list for the day and missing out on, what I'm actually there for. It's like missing the forest among the trees. It's crazy. I'm focused a lot more, Nick, these days on living intentionally, having really good days every day. And it's tough, man, because I work in transport. It's really difficult these days. It's acquiring new business, growing the business, living the life that we want to live. It's very challenging. We're still profitable. We're still doing very well, but I want to have fun. I want to enjoy life, and I want to do what I want to do. But part of that's making a lot of money, which is a value of mine for sure. My wife's already on mat leave. She went off for 18 months, 3.5 months before the due date of the baby, which is fantastic. So me being a protector and a provider for the family still is very much important to me. But she has the opportunity now to live in her feminine, which is an opportunity that I want to give her, which is really cool and really fun. And that's why, bro, I'm so jacked up to talk to you today because this is really fun. I enjoy it. I had a great shipping day today. It was wonderful because I knew I got this great energy and this great juice coming up at 4 p.m., 7 a.m. in Australia when I'm talking to Nick Pratt for the first time, in person, kind of digitally for 8 or 9 years, which is crazy. So, final words to you, my friend. What do you think about the show? What do you think about the energy we're creating and the brand in general?
Oh man, I love it. Like, see, to me, to touch on what you said about, making money, like to me, it's about adding value to the world. And for that value to come back to me, it's like if that comes back as a dollar sign, fantastic. That is only going to enable me to be a provider. That to me is the healthy masculine. I'm in my healthy masculine when I'm providing for my family. And so I just love when like men can get together and have these real, honest, open, vulnerable conversations about like what it really means to have faith, to live off the earth, to not only, share these spiritual or these belief based thought, but this is modern manhood. This is modern fatherhood. This is the masculine nowadays. Like, yeah, we're digitally having a conversation, connecting, and hopefully reaching a bunch of people that actually benefit and find value in what we have to say and can connect in a vulnerable way and can go and have a look at themselves or within their partnerships or as fatherhood and really learn, evolve, and develop through things like this. So, like, I absolutely love what you're doing. I love how you've brought your faith and your belief into this in a way where you're not so much forcing it down a throat. You're not
I love
being
that.
like, this is the be all, this is the end all, and you have to believe what I believe. It's more of a way of like, you're resonating your truth and your belief in a way that is really beautiful and sends like this connective ripple where it uniquely finds its way into spirituality and faith, and it leaves an open space of connection of how it can connect. It doesn't have to connect in this way of like, oh, cool. Well, I go to church every weekend as well, so we can hang out. It's like, no, it's like this really beautiful thing of like, well, it's open and it allows just faith and value to be there.
Dude, thank you first off very much for saying that. That means a lot. I want to acknowledge you for your compassion, your love, your beauty, and everything you've been showing and how you've been showing up today on this call and this show that we're going to publish and we're going to put out there for the world because we're trying to change hearts here and change lives and build up men for sure. That's a big mission of mine. As better men, providers, protectors, and good women, create babies and serving God. Those are my two missions in life, bro. So this is awesome. I got a date night here later on that I'm going to with my wife. So we're going to wrap it up right here, but tell the audience and everybody where they can find you and how we can make more of your videos go viral because they're moving people.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you. Thanks for that, man. I will quick plug. Nicholas is barefoot on Instagram. Same on TikTok as well. So yeah, but like
Fantastic.
it would be great for people to check me out. It's crazy actually. The other week I've been posting videos about nature connection, like just small changes and things that I find value in. And the other week I shared a video about like fatherhood, just like children, and it went viral. It was massive, and here I am in this space going viral about something that I never would have thought that I would have gone viral in. But it to me was this massive journey of like, wow, that's where I authentically need to show up, like as a father, as a parent,
Mhm.
and that's what people see value in and they need. So like that's the gift that I can share just through my thought and my perspective on that. It reached so many people, which was amazing. So please guys find me on Nicholas is Barefoot. Let's learn together, let's grow together, and let's work together.
Awesome, man. We can have so many more conversations. We'll have you on for a part two at some point, but we're here to change lives, change hearts, and just be bold and uncensored and just like you said, speak the truth and change lives. It's incredible, man. Thanks so much for joining us on the show, Nick. It's wonderful having you. Go out, everybody. This has been the Steve Setka Show. Kill it in your life and just show up every day, like Nick said.
Legend. Thank you so much for having me, bro.
Cheers. Enjoy the day.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you found value in what we shared and that you'll take it with you to positively impact the world around you. If so, we'd love for you to take a moment to rate, review, and share the show, because we're on a mission to grow and reach more hearts. Prayers, gratitude, and love. Until next time.